let's get started. So my website is finally up to date. I'm finally on top of shit. So let's walk through it. Go to my website. You can see essentially how I like to approach, I guess you could say, life. And I follow the 7 areas of wellness framework. Even though I'm focused on entrepreneurship, this is like a great framework to just know what areas of your life you're currently concentrating on and which ones you're neglecting. And you should come around to. So you can check out my website. Just type in that URL. And there are, I think, 3 main areas that I'm currently working on. But that doesn't necessarily mean my focus is on those. So let's do it from the top. Emotional wellness, occupational and financial wellness, and physical wellness. So emotional wellness. Here I'm currently focusing on healing, self-therapy, and essentially I guess just trying to undo, I guess you could say, traumas, stresses on my life, and move forward in life on a healthy page. Because I think nowadays it's, especially with social media, all the crazy expectations, but then also crazy expectations, but then we're also we maybe crazy social expectations, but then our expectations with regards to like our body, our morals, our work ethic, that's, I think, maybe underwhelming. I'm not sure, but I'm just trying to get, I guess, onto a healthy slate and then go from there. Because if you know, I've been going through some personal challenges with my marriage, so we'll see how that ends up. But regardless, I am going through like a healing phase, I guess, for the next few years. Now, onto the next area, occupational wellness. Here, I'm going to come back to this, but here I essentially have 2 projects. March to Startup, which is my march from essentially not knowing how to start up, even though I've had some previous like business competition experience, writing grants. I was an electrical engineer student, so I have some idea of that process, but I haven't followed it through like completely for a specific startup. And then also Innovator's blueprint. So March to Startup, I'd break down into a series of phases or steps. First is you have an idea, you make it into a mock-up, and everything that goes into that, such as validating your idea, talking to customers, all of that good stuff. So that's all in Innovator's blueprint. And so I'll come back to this. That's the main reason we're here. But the next part is physical wellness. Here, I've been neglecting my health because I've been, I guess, a dedicated student. I thought that all this learning in electrical engineering was stuff that I would need for a startup. And now that I'm doing SaaS or SaaS, I don't really need all of that electrical engineering stuff. It might come useful in the future. The physics, if I'm focusing on deeper technology startups once I make some money. But for the next few years, maybe for the next 5 years, I probably won't need it. But anyways, that was a long tangent. I've been neglecting my health, has resulted in high blood pressure, and also getting a little fat. And so March to Optimal Health is my way to rebalance myself. And it focuses on the pillars of health. So minimizing the stress, improving my sleeping habits, improving my eating habits, so making sure I get optimal nutrition, and then improving my exercising habits. And nutrition and sleep are straightforward. They're just habits. Once you implement them, you just continue them. The ones that are a little bit more difficult are managing with stress and exercise. At least for me, because I want to have a plan. And so for stress, that was the healing project, the emotional wellness. Now for exercise, here I wanted to make it a little bit more fun and have goals. Set goals that make me feel motivated to achieve something. And so for that, I'm following a half marathon training program. My goal is to have a 7:30 pace. After that, maybe do a marathon. After that, I don't know if I want to do like ultra marathon or get more into martial arts. So we'll see. And yeah, so I've updated all of this. This one took me the longest to update. You can see every single detail that I have that I'm following, so you can follow it yourself as well. I will make videos about this, but for now I'm primarily focused on Innovator's blueprint because I want to start up as fast as possible. I only have enough money, enough runway for about 10 to 16 months. I can start going into my investments, which would last me another 5 years, but I want to avoid doing that. So I want to try making money as soon as possible. So now that I'm talking about it, let's actually go into that. And just so you can see my half marathon training program, I talked about this in my previous video. Emotional, this is the only one that I just have 2 resources that I'm going through right now, but I don't really talk about it in detail. March to startup, this one's updated. Let's see. So I think a slight update that I'll mention here is the way I'm going to approach it now is I'm going to focus maybe the next 3 to 5 months, max 6 months, on understanding the process of having an idea, taking it all the way through to like a mock-up or a prototype. Mock-up is a better word. And towards the end, towards like 3 or 4 months from now, I'm going to relearn iOS app development. And then maybe 5-6 months from now, I'm going to start marketing and sales. At that point, I'm going to start trying to turn out my own ideas. Before, I had like a long-winded approach. I was going to do this, then web development, then iOS app development, then Android app development, then marketing and sales, and then ideation. It was a complicated process that the feedback, to get feedback from like an actual customer, it probably would take 2 years realistically. So now I just want to try to make that as quick as possible. Try to make money as quick as possible. So right now, this I'm probably going to finish this week. Worst case, next week. I've been focusing on this. This, I already mentioned when I would start it. I don't have start end dates yet. Just trying to get it into a rhythm before I start guessing when I'm going to start doing things. And then you can see that I made that update here. How I'm going to adjust my plan now. So let's get into the main thing I want to talk about. Innovator's blueprint. So what is Innovator's blueprint? Why do I call it Innovator's blueprint? My nose is itchy. So it's essentially, I want to master the process of how do you go from I have an idea or I have an idea or there's a problem that I have. How do I then make sure that it's like hold on, I need to scratch my nose. All right, so I have a problem or I have a solution, which isn't the best place to start, but how do I then make sure how do I find the, problem or solution that would address this? How do I know that this problem has a big enough market? How do I know that there's people that would actually want to use this? And then how do I create like the initial mock-up? And then from there, you actually start building it. And that's an entire process, and I essentially call it Innovator's blueprint. You're innovating, you're creating something new that isn't there before. And my whole, aim or secondary aim for this is I want to master it and then I want to make it a template because I realistically have lots of ideas. I also want to at some point become an investor, a venture VC, an investor. And so helping other people by having like a template, a blueprint that I can show other people, then I can, I guess, help others, but also be a very good investor. Be a good investor to have on anyone's board, because I'm able to just, I have this process down to like a T, to a science. So I wrote that all down here. And as I mentioned, or as I hinted at, this essentially breaks down into three main areas. First is UX, UI design. So how do you, designing the experience, designing the interface, because right now I'm primarily focused on applications, websites. In the future, it might be more like product design, so physical products. But for now, we're starting very specific. And also market research, competitive analysis, so making sure that the market is big enough, that there aren't any other competitors, and if there are, how do we differentiate? Can we differentiate, and how can we differentiate the solution that we have? And then also just making sure that it's in line with customers, that it's something that customers would actually use, that it's a need, that it's useful, and how we would even approach making this a viable business. So that's all in this last one. And so it's a very solid amount of learning, and you can see my journey starts by taking some courses on graphic design theory, learning Figma, which is just a tool to design the mock-ups. So really honing in on UX UI design, and then researching this topic, and then going through some resources for this. That's essentially the process I'm going to follow. And so what it'll look like is I'll be going through these resources, probably summarizing my learnings. Once I finish a course, for example, this course I might finish this week, at the end of this week. So I'll make like a video just going through every single bullet point that I learned, going through my notes. Same thing for here. Here, I guess same thing. At the end, when I go through these notes, there's some exercises such as developing a portfolio, and so that I could probably like do like a work with me, or learn with me, or something like that. So I'll just think of the best ways to try to summarize these learnings and share them. And I think that's all I have. I'll make a weekly update. Well, I missed last week's weekly update, but I'll make a different video for that. All right. I think I'll keep this short. Let me get to the point. Wanted to cover the website, wanted to cover my main areas of wellness, wanted to show that the website is updated, and that I'm focusing only like on 3 core areas, which makes sense. If there's any questions, let me know.